What is the meaning of life? It's a simple question. I'm curious how my perspective and words on this will change over time, but I'll just tell you exactly how I see it right now. The meaning of life is to recognize your truest nature and to dissolve so deep into that nature that you forget to even seek a meaning. The seeking and the meaning are both constructs of thought. They're both constructs of something that is not truly you, but something that is arising in you. And it brings on the greatest question of all, which is, what are you really? That's what Ramana Maharshi, you could call him an enlightened master from the past. That was what a lot of his teachings were about. It was this more direct path of ask yourself, what am I? What am I? And that question boggled my mind when I first heard it, because I didn't get it. I was like, oh, I'm Sunny. I'm this guy. I'm this ambitious person working on all of these things, and I have these dreams, and I have these friends, and I. But when you investigate a bit deeper, you start to find that concept of that concept of who you are, doesn't hold up too strongly. If you investigate deep enough, you start to see that it's sort of a habit to believe that you are this person. When you look really deeply, the only evidence that you are this separate person, this individual, is when you have thoughts that confirm that to be true. But you are the witness of these thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. How can you be something which you are watching? To go deeper into that, what were you when you were a baby? How did you see the world when you were a baby? You had no concept of whatever your name is, whatever things that you do, traits, characteristics that you describe yourself with. You had none of that. You were looking out in the world with a completely raw perspective. Just potential energy, just this rawness, right? And then you get to maybe age 1, 2, and you start to know your name. You start to copy your parents. You start to learn things. You go to school. You get around other people. And you start to kind of take on language and constructs and all these layers, right? You learn what colors are. You learn what shapes are. You're like, whoa. And yet all of those things were given to you. None of them are necessarily true. If a teacher tells you that this is a hand, and you're like, okay, this is a hand. Like, the very attachment we have between this and the word hand, like, all of us hear that word and we're like, we associate these things so strongly with each other. Isn't that interesting? Hand. And this guy right here. But some person made up the word hand. Some person sat there and imagined that. But from the very truest nature of it, hand is some audio vibration that I'm putting out there, I'm saying. And then you have a story in your head or some association in your head that's very deeply woven, that when I say hand, you hear this random set of vibrations, audio vibrations, and then you think of this. The reason I'm pointing that out is because that's how deep this pattern goes, of how deeply identified we are with different constructs and layers. And it can go as deep as all the objects you see in your room and the associations, the attachments you have between them and what you call them. Like saying that that's a window, that's a wall, that's a door, this is a... I don't know what to call this. This is God. And recognizing that all of these were conditioned into you. These different constructs. Construct is a nice word here. Label is a nice word here. Even just starting to recognize that, it sort of breaks you free from this identification habit we have with everything that we're experiencing in life. Because to go deeper into our true nature, as I was saying before, you have to be able to even recognize that you are not your thoughts, that you're not your mind, you're not these things that come up, these stories that come up to you in your conscious field. But really, you're what comes before them and what's there after them. And really, without the associations and the labels and how you're identifying with them, like saying that this is a hand, even the word hand, I point at it and say that it's an illusion, that it's false. And yet, truly, even my false association with it is still that same base material of consciousness. It's just that whatever mental association you have with it, you're creating a sense of separation around it. And that's can get really complicated really quickly. But the important first steps here are to simply become aware of all of these layers of conditioning that are existing, to strip it away, to just simply recognize it throughout the day. And then you can start picking apart your thoughts, picking apart the body, seeing that you are not the mind and you are not the body. And notice that when I say put your attention on your stomach, that you are watching the sensations of your stomach arise. And then when I say put your attention on the window that you can see here, your eyes go there and you're now watching that, but where did your stomach go? Where did the sensations go? They're not there anymore, right? And so these sensations of body are coming and going. So you can't be those sensations, right? If I ask you to think of your name and now think of a door, you've completely switched the content. So you can't be the content of your mind, because that's also changing. So the real question is, what are you really? In order for you to recognize what I'm talking about here, you seem to have some sort of witness characteristic to be able to recognize what's going on here. But you are not the content within that witnessing. You might have heard some phrases like, you are the sky and not the clouds. You're the ocean, but not the waves. And that's really what I'm pointing at here. And it's a very paradoxical subject, because you actively try to point. When I say, what are you really? You look, you point, and you're like, I'm that, I'm that, I'm that. But the moment that you conceive, that you point, that you perceive something, you are automatically not that thing. Because if you're pointing at something, you're the thing pointing. You're not the thing that's being pointed at. And so by its very definition, you're still not pointing at the real thing, at what you really are. That's what's so tricky about this game that we're playing here. But it's still very useful to ask that question, because it's impossible to see that nature of yourself as that witness without repeatedly pointing and seeing and training your nervous system, training yourself to see that illusionary nature of everything. Because then, as you keep doing that over and over and over and over again, every time you do that, you actually dissolve a small part of you that is identified with the thing that's being pointed at. And it more easily allows you to rest as the witness. Because that's as deep as you can go. Is to rest as the witness, because you can never point at yourself. The moment you point at yourself, again, you're not actually seeing your true nature, because you're the thing pointing. You can't truly look at yourself. And that's why they say that God, infinity, all these things are inconceivable, cannot be conceived. And yet resting as the inconceivable, that gives you a beautiful, mysterious answer to the meaning of life. And I hope you all get to glimpse and stabilize that beautiful truth. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more. Peace.